other platforms have leveled off or have remained stagnant, and other apps have taken a dive. That said, Instagram's really wanting to go where the audience is, given that the largest population right now is Gen Z. They're essentially dictating that movement. I feel like Instagram hasn't really perfected the way that they are delivering this content. The superpower of TikTok will always be the algorithm.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right.
You're listening to the Tomorrow Today podcast with Kaplanis.
Don't FOMO out. That's the biggest mistake in this space right now, FOMO.
And Duke McKenzie.
That's just crazy, right? It's like
Conversations with thought leaders, experts, influencers, culture shapers, discussing all things innovative, groundbreaking creative developments, evolving digital markets. The podcast for those who are curious about what is next. Social media, Web3, NFTs, the metaverse, all the things you need to know about to start planning tomorrow's success today.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Tomorrow Today. We have a special episode for you today because normally you just see me and my co-host, Kaplanis.
What's up, everybody?
We have another special guest. She was actually our first guest on the show, our co-worker, our colleague extraordinaire, Nadine Gerard. How you doing, Nadine?
Good.
All right. The reason why all three of us got together today was we wanted to talk about how we're seeing some changes in the platforms and how all the platforms are starting to merge together. I think that one of our hypotheses that we'd like to talk about, and is actually on a post that Nadine did on her LinkedIn, talking about how all of the platforms and everything are starting to look more like TikTok, all embracing short form. Nadine, you want to just talk about what inspired you to make that post and the thoughts around that?
I think that a lot of the legacy platforms, as I would call them, like Instagram and Facebook, obviously under the Meta umbrella, are trying to emulate a lot of the ways that TikTok portrays its content. And I just find that really fascinating because a few weeks ago, there was a huge movement on Instagram that was really anti the changes with the algorithm that were happening on Instagram. And there was this huge movement that was basically saying, please keep Instagram, which in response to that, Instagram CEO went on to talk about how they're really committed to their audience and they're really committed to their followers. But essentially, the gist of it was that Instagram's really focused on video content. They're really focused on Reels, and there's really no way around that. If you are looking to grow your audiences on Instagram, then you're going to have to adapt with the changes because that's essentially the direction of where the app's going.
Don't you find that crazy how at one point everybody was poo-pooing short form creation on TikTok?
Totally.
And now it's not just Instagram, it's YouTube that has been embracing it. Like you had a stat on one of your posts, something like a large percentage of YouTube's new growth has come from YouTube Shorts or something. I know you've been doing a lot of work with your creators around that.
Yeah, apparently YouTube Shorts is now on par with their user base on how many people are using YouTube Shorts. I believe it's 1 billion plus users.
Yeah, on YouTube, right?
On YouTube Shorts, yeah.
Do you think this is a trend that's going to continue? Do you believe what the Instagram CEO said, that all of the major platforms are going to keep on pushing short form? And then why do you think everybody's embracing short form, even consumers? Like, why do you think it's exploded over the last little bit?
I think obviously right now, the biggest population within the general population is Gen Z, and they are deciding essentially a lot of the changes that are happening right now. And what is happening is that there's so many people on TikTok now. There is something for everyone. It's no longer a lip syncing app. It's no longer a dance app. What has happened is essentially time spent on the app has skyrocketed and growth on the app has skyrocketed. So if you look at growth within all the social platforms, TikTok is essentially having a spike in terms of growth, whereas other platforms have leveled off or have remained stagnant and other apps have taken a dive. So that said, Instagram's really wanting to go where the audience is. So given that the largest population right now is Gen Z, they're essentially dictating that movement. I just feel like Instagram hasn't really perfected the way that they are delivering this content. The superpower of TikTok will always be the algorithm. It's the reason why they've been so successful. And that does not happen overnight. It takes a really long time to build a very strong algorithm. And that's essentially what's happened here. Now, the other thing that caused everyone to freak out is SEO within Gen Z has completely retargeted to TikTok. So if you look at where the audience is looking and searching for things, they are going to TikTok. Gen Z really wants a visual representation of everything that they're searching for. Based on where the audience is going, a lot of these other platforms are paying attention and saying, hey, we've got to make changes. Are they making changes in the right way? I don't know. I can only speculate, but I would think that if Instagram wants to continue to be competitive, they've got to stick to what they know best while not pissing off their bread and butter. It's really interesting. What do you think, Kyle?
Kyle, what do you think?
I think the race to be the best in short form is where we're at right now. Everybody's trying to be the best. And interesting enough, Gen Z is leading this because the Gen Z mindset is so short, right? Our attention spans are shortening. And because of TikTok, I've
eight seconds.
As well.
8 seconds.
Yeah,
Gen
it's
Z
just
is
getting more
8
and more.
seconds.
And my brain is already reconditioned. So even when I'm watching shows that are longer, sometimes I'm like, damn, how long is this thing? It could be like 30 minutes. And I'm starting to get bored quickly. And short form is king. It's the new thing. TikTok is always innovative. Right.
That's how they burst onto the scene, because the algorithm, as Nadine said earlier, is extremely innovative, and they're always trying to change and alter.
Yeah, where everybody else is just copycats.
Right.
So if you notice, there's this new trend that people are using, and it's this AI generated tool that you can put in keywords like your birthday or whatever, and it creates an image based off of those words. So what TikTok is focusing on right now is AI generated content, which is going to be very interesting.
I think that's why the algorithm works so well, is because of AI, right?
Exactly.
And that is the future. AI is the future. And they can essentially know exactly what the video is about and who it's going to appeal to based on the content of the video. They know exactly what they're doing in terms of serving people up the content that they want to consume. And that's very different than how Instagram natively works, because Instagram is based on your friend graph. It's based on your friend. Whereas TikTok is very different. It's based on your interests. So unless Instagram wants to do a complete overhaul of how they are presenting content, I just feel like something's got to give.
That's an interesting thought, because you're 100% correct. Because Instagram, which is
surprise me.
on Instagram, which is owned by Facebook and everything is based on the social graph. And the reason why TikTok is working, as you are saying, is that TikTok is presenting me with content that I didn't even know I wanted. Apparently, there's two things that I like. When there's someone making their dog talk and like saying, what is their dog thinking? I didn't know I like that, but apparently I really like that. And I love those videos, right? It figured out that I love old school hip hop videos. That makes sense. And then what I find on my two Instagram accounts, and what I find on both my professional one and then even my personal one, is that it is full of reels, which is Instagram's short form TikTok competitor. But the thing is that it doesn't serve and delight me like my TikTok post. Like, it feels random. You know what I mean? Like when I'm watching stuff on TikTok, I'll get one random thing, but it all somehow, I don't know how they do it, how they can read my brain, but it all somehow matches. And what I am finding on Instagram so far is it feels random. And then I'm even finding that I consume a lot less YouTube than, let's say, my kids do or whatever it is. But even on YouTube, their YouTube shorts, the way it feels, it feeds me content, it feels random.
It does.
Where TikTok, when I'm getting stuff, it feels like it knows what I want it to see. And that goes into, it takes a long time to build an algorithm. And that's not how their algorithms are based. It's based on who you are following versus what you are watching and what you like.
And I think YouTube does a really good job of long form. It's here to stay, right? YouTube is just so central in this entire conversation, because what I appreciate about them is they've stayed very true to their product, their original product, which is long form content. And they've just added additional products around them to compete with TikTok. So YouTube Shorts, even though that hasn't fully taken off, I feel like it provides an alternative if you're looking for that. But they haven't departed so far away from that where they've pissed off their audience.
Yep.
And I feel like Instagram's changes were a lot more abrupt.
Yes.
And I think change is good, but I don't feel like it should be abrupt. It should be prepared for. And maybe that's the difference between Instagram and YouTube and how they've both approached the changes and the introduction of this massive app. Right?
And what I like about YouTube, how they did it, is that they keep it separate. So their long form content is on a totally different algorithm than their short form. So that way it doesn't disrupt the people who are already using long form content. And you're right. What I feel as well is like everybody's competing with short form, but they have to remember, and what I teach people about sharing content is you should share it across other socials, but a different piece. Or why would people aggregate to other places if it's the same shit they're seeing across all? Right. So what I mean by that is on Instagram, I like the old school method. You can share a couple images going across and sharing more details because the captions are quite long on there. You can share a story. And Instagram stories is still the hottest.
Instagram stories, it has a different use case. Where I find that TikTok is taking a my time now, because we say TikTok is all Gen Z, and yes, Gen Z is driving, but I think now short form reaches everybody. Right? Where it's eating my time. I find that it competes with my TV time and my Instagram, not stories time, but like scrolling through feed time. Stories is an interesting thing on when I use it for Instagram. I use it as it keeps me updated on what people I'm following do, right? I don't even look at their feeds anymore. I just look at their stories, and it's just interesting. It's like a quick update or a piece of information or a quick video they want me to watch or something like that. So stories is still a killer app, but I don't know if you could attract new users with stories. I don't know. And whatever it is, stories is actually a wonderful product, which Instagram took from Snapchat, right? And they innovated it, but it's actually my favorite feature to consume. And that's where I spend most of my time consuming it. Because I find that stories you go through and you follow, where TikTok, I find it fascinating, but you can get caught in the spiral of death of just watching video after video. And then you look up, it's an hour. That's how I use.
A lot of people ask me, so what do you think? Is Instagram dead? I feel like a lot of people are rushing towards that conclusion. You cannot count Zuckerberg out, right? You just can't, because of the reiteration of different products that they've done in the past. A great example of that is stories. Snapchat 5 years ago was wildly different than how it was used then and how it's used now. Like today, Snapchat is a messaging app. That's essentially what it is. They'll tell you that they're a camera app. Zuckerberg, essentially what he did is he replicated that same exact feature into Instagram, and it took off. In the beginning, I think they received a bit of backlash, not as strong as this one, but it caught on and it became wildly popular, and a lot of people are using it. I just can't seem to count them out because of what they've been able to do with stories. I wish that more concentration is put on stories. I wish they would promote that more, because that's truly a product that everybody utilizes and it seems like it's doing well. It is a video product, so I feel like it would perform, it would do well, it would allow people to spend more time on the apps. That is a part of their features that I'm not sure why they haven't pursued fully. I think that they're so hell-bent on trying to take TikTok down that they're really trying to say, we want to be the one-stop shop for social media. And I'm not sure it's that easy.
Also, interesting enough, tell me this isn't true. When you meet creators, they share their TikTok, but then they share their Instagram, because that's how you contact me. You DM me on there. And that's still the number one source for connecting with, let's say our creators talk with brands. They DM each other on Instagram, not on TikTok. TikTok's messaging actually is crap. Like nobody uses it.
I don't even know how to.
And I feel like if TikTok started matching that, where people can DM easily.
But they're going to get there. Here's the thing. What's going to happen is this. Everything's going to start looking very similar, right? TikTok knows that it has to create better communication, DMing features, communicating to each other. TikTok just launched a story. I think it's called TikTok Stories even, right?
It's called Stories.
TikTok just launched a Stories product that they're testing and working out. And TikTok is trying to figure out how to create certain long form opportunities for their talent. Just like Instagram is trying to be more like TikTok, and then YouTube is trying to figure out how to capture that market. So I agree that everyone is going to start looking more at the same as we move forward. As we wrap this one up, I would love to hear what's everyone's final take on the future of short form. As in, do you think it's faddish, or do you think like rushing to short form and everything is sort of long-term trend that we just have to get used to? I'd love your thoughts.
I mean, I think there's a place for two worlds, where there's short form and there's long form. Really interesting what TikTok has done in short form. I think additionally, if you look at what's happening with the big streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, and the decline in membership there, I think you can attribute so many things to that, but I think TikTok is definitely one of the reasonings there. If TikTok continues on its road to acquiring more users and really paying attention to their followers and really taking care of their creators, I think that's one thing that they still need to work on. And they don't get banned.
Yeah, right. That's another show. That is another show.
That's a whole other thing, because I know those conversations are once again just piping hot. And if they continue on this path, I think they have a real good shot of being the #1 super app in America.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
So my thoughts are like how Nadine said about treating their creators right. So if all the apps end up becoming the same, then the competition is not going to be between apps. It's going to be between users of saying, why would I create here then? So it would be who's going to take care of the creator the best. Because if they're all the same, then what's keeping somebody, there's no loyalty to a specific platform. It's to their reach. So if they all have the same algorithm, then the loyalty will go where the money is. So if YouTube's like, we're going to pay you better,
then it'll go to YouTube.
Everybody's going to
because right now YouTube is the king of creator monetization because they have the organic source. That was a good thought.
What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah,
okay.
All
right. Let's close it off like this. I think that short form is a form of storytelling that we are just beginning to explore. I think one of the creators that we work with, Alex Stemp, he's actually working on creating shows and stuff that they've told over 3 or 4 TikToks. And I've been watching a lot of creators do that. There's this one young lady from Vancouver. She's created a whole series of characters and she has 50 billion things and like telling short form, episodic short form content. Comedians are all over it. So I think it's here to stay. And I think that we are at the cusp of what it means. Like it started off with just dances, but now what does it mean to tell stories in this format? And that's my final thought. Well, listen, Nadine, you have to go join us more. Wasn't it great having Nadine on, Kyle?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe. Please download. Please write and review. I am Duke McKenzie.
I'm Kyle Kaplanis.
And our guest is
Nadine Gerard.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to the Tomorrow Today podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to follow us on social media at Project Z Talent. That's PRJTZ Talent. And stay tuned next week for more of the Tomorrow Today podcast, because shaping your tomorrow starts today.